It's intercepted. Shaquille Griffin makes an incredible play. Coleman looks out of the gun, runs the option, keeps it. He is into the end zone for the Knights touchdown.
Welcome to Knightline Post-Game Live. When the clock expires, we go live. Knight Nation's only post-game call-in show goes live now.
All right, we are live from Burger U. This is Andrew Phegley, and wow, all I can say, two words tonight, Adrian Killens. What a performance by Adrian, what a performance by the Knights, unbelievable. All right, so joining me here today to start this whole deal out is Matt Ayala. He is a guy that has been pretty active with our show and called in a lot, and we even had you on one time, didn't we, to talk?
Yeah, about the alumni group that we have down in Southwest Florida. Guys, I've been a long-time listener. This is an honor to be involved, and I highly recommend any listeners, if you get a chance, come out here, grab a beer, hang out with the guys, and be a part of this. This is awesome.
Absolutely. All right, I want to go to the phones right away because this person has been calling, and I feel bad that I haven't been able to pick up. So you're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Night Bengal from Maryland.
All right. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing up there? It sounds like people are celebrating.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. What a game. What did you think?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. You know, since we used a word last time, the last word we used was domination. I think this one would be control. We controlled that entire game after the middle of the first quarter. I was a little worried about McKenzie floating balls early on again, but, I mean, on the defensive side and on the offensive side of the ball, we just completely controlled that game. I think the defense, Memphis's defense, going into the second and third quarter, they were just tired and they didn't have any depth. We were able to control the line and really roll whichever direction we wanted to go. The hats off to Chins. Coach Chins did a great job adjusting after that first touchdown series, and really Memphis didn't have anything for us the rest of the game. So all around, just a controlling, dominant performance. And they weren't who we thought they were.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was on the American show that they do on that C. Austin Cox does. He does a podcast every day. It's weekly. And I was on there, and he was trying to get me to give a score, and I couldn't give a score. So I said UCF by 2 touchdowns. Well, it was a lot more than that. So I'm happy because, it made me look good. They made me look good today. So.
And remember, Memphis was a team to pick win the West. So for us to do this so early in the season, yeah.
They were picked to win the AAC, the American. I mean, them and USF were the two that were expected to battle it out. I think, with the offense, that's 2 big offenses we've been able to stop in a row. Maryland had a great game against Minnesota, racked up a ton of yards. Says a lot about our front 7 again. And I think that doesn't bode very well looking to the future now for USF. When we play the Cows, they're predicated on having a good run game. Flowers did not have a good day.
I think I have it here. Hold on. There you go. There's a moo. If you probably couldn't hear it, but Roger.
I couldn't, but I'm sure Kevin did, and that's all that matters.
There you go.
But again, it goes back to our ability to run the ball, which we've been able to do. I was a little worried because we were trying to go lateral there for a while and really weren't able to turn the corner. But what surprised me is how well we've done in between the tackles. Otis Anderson, phenomenal game. Great to see him. What surprised me with him was, again, I was thinking about him kind of in that Killens role as a burner, getting to the edge and then trying to cut up. He's been going right between the tackles. I think that speaks to the line. I think that speaks to the center play, which is a lot better than what it was at the beginning. Kelton Jordan Johnson doing a great job creating lanes for them to run on the inside. And then Killens, I mean, what do you say about that? The first thing I thought was cheese and bread.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Well, again, what we talked about last week was domination by the defensive line. I mean, incredible. We held them to 75 yards rushing. Not 45 like we did last week, but 75 yards still is pretty amazing. They didn't they could never get that run going, so they just pretty much abandoned it. They definitely got some yards through the air for against us, but yeah.
Well, every time they moved the ball through the air, though, I mean, the defense got pressure on them, and boom, we got the ball back, we got a turnover, we got something. And that's really what this defense is predicated on, is getting turnovers. And when they've got folks in the backfield as often as we do, I mean, between Pittman and Tristan Hill and those guys, I mean, they were in the backfield after the first quarter, midway through the first quarter, they were in the backfield the whole game. So, kudos on them getting a pass rush, making them one-dimensional. I remember you talking to the insider from Memphis, and he was like, they had a three-headed monster. Well, they had a one-headed monster, and that was decapitated.
Absolutely. All right. Roger, thank you very much for calling, man. I'm going to try to get some more
Carson
people on
wants
here.
to give you a quick shout-out real quick.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey, man.
All right, thanks for letting him do that.
All right, thanks for listening,
super
y'all.
excited.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for everything up in Maryland, man.
Yeah, charge on, guys.
All right, take it easy.
Care.
Thank you. All right, so Matt, since we're sitting here, what did you think? What was the big thing tonight that you took from all of this?
I just can't believe how quickly this team has developed, where we last season could see the wheels turning, and it was just so close. And we lost so many games if McKenzie could have just done this. And obviously the AK run was the number one electric play that got us started. But the number one play for me was when Milton ran out, stayed in bounds, and took a knee to show that development so quickly. And the sophomore, he's almost a freshman still. So the development is definitely there.
All righty, we're going to take this next call. Hey, you're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joshua Kenna from Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right, man. What's going on? What did you think of the game tonight?
I mean, similar performance to last week with the dominating defense. The defensive line and the linebackers really creating pressure. Really seeing improvement with the secondary. They were knocking some balls down, obviously, with a lot of interception. I think a lot of that has to do with the pressure put on the quarterback. Just overall, just again pleased. Some penalties can probably get cleaned up. Again, that seems to be our thing. But if you keep putting up points and stopping the other team, I don't know if that's going to matter as much.
Yeah. So absolute domination again. Absolutely. So what was the biggest thing that was there anything you were surprised by tonight? Because I think there was there was fans sitting in the stands that were definitely surprised.
I was surprised probably how many interceptions we got and how much we were able to kind of, I mean, not even the interceptions, we knocked down a lot of balls too. Not just like incomplete passes, but our defenders were putting their hands on the ball and knocking it down. I knew that we would probably get pressure on the quarterback. I felt like we would stop the run, but I felt like Riley Ferguson's arm and their wide receivers and just the way that their offense ran, with being such a pass heavy, that they were going to be successful in the air. They were going to get some yards. They probably were going to convert into some third down, and they were probably going to put up a decent amount of points. The only problem, I kind of predicted that we were going to have like a 45 to 23 kind of win. I was pretty close in our point spread, but not in theirs. Because I felt like they were trying to play catch-up a little bit. And I don't know if the rain helped them a little bit either. There was a couple dropped passes. I felt like the rain didn't help them. But that was probably my biggest surprise, was our secondary getting their hands on the ball.
And that was the thing that I was worried the most about. I kept talking about it. I kept talking about how I'm so worried about the secondary. I'm not worried anymore, folks.
And I think we talked about this before, that Mike Hughes coming in, 2-3 weeks before the season started?
Like 2 weeks,
He is shutdown corner
Absolutely.
as we can have one. And one in addition that what is it, 3 interceptions?
I don't even.
Yeah,
I don't
I tried
even
to
know.
look it
I'm
up
trying
now.
to look at. I haven't even had a chance to look at the stats, you guys. I'm sorry.
And so he's had 1 pick six, at least 2 or 3 interceptions, because he had 1 tonight and then 1 for the pick six in 3 games.
Yeah.
3 games.
Yeah, I think he had one against FIU too.
Yeah. So
yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, and I know Kyle Gibson's got 3 now too. I don't know who else got the other. He had 2 tonight, I think.
So
right?
for being a position of concern, for now being our corners are holding down, they're forcing the quarterback to take that 2 or 3 seconds more, and then our lines are getting to him. That's why our defense is being so dominant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
just.
I was glad to see Shaquem Griffin getting in there. You know, I know we haven't seen his name a lot. It seemed like.
Yeah.
We felt like people were double teaming him, but he really made himself known.
Yeah, the thing is, everybody is scheming against
Correct.
Shaquem
Exactly.
Griffin.
Yep.
All these teams want to come in and take him out of the game, and we've seen that a little bit, but not completely, thank goodness. And he did get a little bit more involved tonight. Like I said, I haven't had a chance really to look at these stats.
We were in the game. Did they say on the broadcast what that unsportsmanlike conduct was for? Because we couldn't see anything. So
it was from him clapping. He was clapping like intentionally super loud in front of the opponent's face.
You're kidding. That's crazy.
No.
That's crazy.
It was like, just the obnoxious, he's looking right at the guy and just clapping really loud in their face type deal.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
more than one ref threw, I think 2 or 3 threw flags
there
on
were
him.
2,
so.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, so there was 3 interceptions tonight, and I just had it
And
right
1
here
fumble.
on my phone. Yeah. Mike Hughes, Savon Lowry, and Kyle Gibson.
Yeah.
All had,
Lowry, that's right. That's right. Oh, that was a nice one.
All right,
the linebacker
man. Thank you
blew
so
him
much
up,
for
but-
calling. I know we have other people that are holding,
Yeah,
so
yeah, all right.
I'm
Well,
gonna
have
let
a
you
good
go. Thank you very much, though, for listening and calling. I really appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
All right, you too.
Take care.
All right. This is awesome, guys. I love the fan interaction here. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. 407-401-9184 if you don't know the number, 407-401-9184. It is absolutely awesome that people – I can't even tell you how many people have come up tonight or today while I've been at UCF and said thank you or whatever. Oh, here we go. This is a good phone call right here. Travis Dever, what's up?
Andrew Phegley, what are you doing?
Doing a show. How are you doing? What did you think about this tonight?
You know what? I don't. Hey, everybody, real quick.
Man, he is partying, man. He's enjoying the
partying.
win.
We're having a little bit of fun on the ride home.
You are. You are. So you've got your bus and you're on your way home from the game.
Yeah.
So
the UCF bus is rolling back to New Smyrna.
all right. So Travis Dever, everybody, he is our title sponsor, the Dever team. So what did you think about this tonight, man? What was your biggest takeaway?
I really thought Maryland was a domination. Tonight was a whole nother level.
It was. I really.
It was a whole nother level. That defense shut those guys down.
Absolutely.
We're looking at a team that can put up points, and we held them, granted it doesn't look that good, but to 300, almost 400 yards, and we're at 600 yards of total offense.
Absolutely crazy. All right, Travis, you got a lot of noise coming from your phone, so I'm gonna let you go, man.
All right, buddy.
Thank you for calling.
Hey, man, enjoy the win.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe.
All right, man.
All right, thank
Bye.
you. All right, so that was our sponsor, Travis Dever. We really, of course, appreciate him calling. A little noise going there. So, all right, let's look at these stats a little bit. So we racked up 253 yards of receiving, of passing yards, 350 yards on the ground.
Crazy.
Of course, a lot of that was Adrian Killens with 9 rushes for 115 yards, averaged with that 96-yard rush, which was the longest play from scrimmage, I think, longest run.
They announced it in the stadium.
Yeah, so in UCF history, and that's pretty incredible.
And this is something I've noticed under our Frost-led team is the one area that we can improve, I think, is the penalties. I think O'Leary had his benefits and his faults, but there was always a very disciplined team. I'm not saying we're out there doing stupid plays and making a lot of mental mistakes, but I definitely think that that's an area that we can clean up at.
Absolutely.
Because if we're playing Georgia Tech and we have 12 penalties for 109 yards, that could be the game right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a lot of penalties. One of the other things that kind of I could see where we could use a little bit of improvement is the kick returns also. It's one of the things that I'm a little bit thinking that we need, to get something a little bit more going.
Yeah, it is. Hughes is back there. I would think one of the burners would be back there. I know that's a tough position that comes with a lot of injury. Hughes is a bigger guy that can take the punishment. But, we don't start off in the best, but we kept it going and kept the drives alive to score.
Absolutely. All right. So, of course, Trace will be here a little while later. He's in the press conferences and all that stuff. Matt Ayala is joining me here. Tell us a little bit about what you do again with the South Florida. Is it South Florida?
Southwest Florida, yeah. And actually have some alumni here. So we try to do watch parties. We had an awesome party last week with that Maryland game. So we do some alumni outs. We do a senior send-off or freshman welcome. And I know a lot of the Jacksonville, the areas, the Southeast Florida. So if you guys are not in Central Florida, if you guys have a desire to hang out with alumni, just go to the UCFalumni.com and you can see which watch parties are in your area, because it's an awesome time just to hang out with fellow Knights and enjoy the games, because I really wouldn't want to sit here on the couch back at my house and watch the game by myself. So we have a great time. All
right, we have another alumni that's going to join us here. Tell us about yourself real quick.
Hello. This is Stefan, the guy from Hawaii / California / North Carolina.
You call all the time.
Yep.
This is cool because I've never had as many people show up here to want to talk with us and all that stuff. Let's take this phone call real quick, though. You're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Pensacola. First off, I want to give a shout-out to my boy No Surf today from Monterey. Stationed together out there in Monterey, down there in Orlando now. Must have been a great time for me.
Yeah. What's up, man?
We may have lost him. I'm not sure what's going on there. You still there?
I think people are enjoying this a little too much, guys.
I think we lost him there.
Yeah, he was.
Did we lose you? Yeah, I think we lost him. That's cool, though, because there'll be more people calling. So what did you think? We were just talking about the penalties.
Yeah.
That's why I waved over, because you came up to me before we started and wanted to talk a little bit about the penalties.
Yeah, I can't remember game one and how many penalties that we had in that game.
Where's the intern?
But, I know, yeah.
But
I don't know what's happened to our interns for sure.
But I definitely, as great as our defense was last week, we had over 100 yards in penalties. This week we got 109 yards in penalties, and I mean the defense is light out, but the penalties, some of it I think was BS calls. I saw a couple of them. I was like, I don't know about those, but some of it's just lack of discipline, especially that last. Unsportsmanlike conduct. I mean, that's a discipline thing. I mean, the guys are excited, but I couldn't really tell necessarily what was going on. But
yeah, one of our callers was on and said that it had to do something with somebody clapping in the guy's face.
Yeah,
so it was a taunting thing.
Yeah, and basically that send them down the line. That gave them the points.
Right.
That they got. I was really hoping that we wouldn't give them any more points. So I'm hoping that Scott Frost is going to focus on the penalties and going forward, because that's giving away free yards.
Absolutely. Let's take this call real quick. Hey, you're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm driving home from the game. My name is Mike, and I'm in Orlando.
All right, man. What did you think of the game tonight?
I thought it was complete annihilation. I mean, it wasn't even close until it was 7-6, and then it was over. I was a little shocked that we beat him by so much.
Yeah, I mean, I am too, to be honest with you. I said 2 touchdowns. It was a lot more than that. So, a lot more than that. So, yeah.
45-34. And, you know what happened is once Adrian Killings had that run, it was just such a momentum changer. I mean, everyone went crazy after that, and we just poured it on.
All right, Trace is going to join us here. He's here finally. So let's hear what Trace has to say. Hey, thank you for calling, man. Really appreciate it.
Hey there,
Okay,
I want to quote Mackenzie Milton. Quote, "When we see blood, we want to kill."
Is that what he said?
That's Mackenzie Milton in the postgame. What a jubilant locker room. They were dancing in there, they said, and everybody was in good spirits. Of course, being asked about whether they will be in the top 25, and Coach Frost says he doesn't care what anybody does. He knows he's got a good team, and they, of course, got to be ready for the next one on the road. One game at a time, of course, but happy locker room, happy team, and boy, how about that? Do we expect this season?
Not.
80 plays, 603 yards, and I think back just a couple of weeks, concerns about the offensive line. No sacks on Mackenzie Milton, and the rushing attack, 350 yards. Of course, as Scott Frost said, it makes it a lot easier when you have 96 yards from, he calls him the Dash from The Incredibles,
The Dash,
Adrian
okay.
Killens. I started dubbing him the Flash on Twitter from the press box, but wow. And he was asked, Adrian Killens, when he knew, he said he knew as soon as he took off, he was gone.
Well, he was untouched again. I mean, last week in Maryland, he had one that was untouched, but this was another level. This whole thing went to another level tonight, I think.
Yes.
It really did.
And we're going to have a lot of sound on the next all-new Knightline when we record Sunday. They had Traquan Smith out there, Mackenzie Milton, Kyle Gibson, Mike Hughes, Adrian Killens. They brought all the stars of this one out.
Did anybody ask about what it was like in the locker room tonight?
They were dancing around, and Shaquem was out there as well. We spoke with Shaquem, and he said he's got to teach Coach Frost a few moves.
Yeah.
He's not quite there yet.
What was your biggest take of this entire thing? I mean, you sat up there in the press box and watched tonight.
Well,
so.
I think when we spoke post-game live from College Park and again on Knightline, I wasn't sure about the defense just yet. I knew we had played FIU. I knew we saw Maryland's third-string quarterback, and I wasn't scared of Riley Ferguson, but I knew he was a big deal. They put 48 on UCLA, and we really contained Riley Ferguson.
Absolutely.
And this, to me, is a top 25 team, and with a couple of losses there on the bottom tier, this is a top 25 team.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I don't want to get ahead either. You start to get in that coach mindset. When you look at some of the teams in the league, the Cincinnatis, East Carolina, boy, there's a lot of teams that UCF can beat up on.
You know Stefan, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, Stefan was nice enough to join us.
I like how we have a cast of characters here at
It's awesome. Matty Ayala over here comes over. You would not believe the line of people that were right here to, say hi. You missed it. There was a bunch of people here. It was amazing. It was very cool.
My biggest concern about what's going on right now is the guys are looking good. I would venture to say I feel fairly comfortable saying that I think that we could easily go into the USF game, both of us, undefeated. But the problem is that, and that was, I think, a O'Leary culture. You know, people they get ahead of themselves. And I know he said the one game at a time, but I think the players got full of themselves, and we lose to teams like UConn. And so my concern is that how excited these guys are, and because of where we came from to where we are right now, that they don't start sleeping on potential teams that we should walk over and end up losing, Clemsoning a game, and so that's my biggest concern, because as far as quality goes, based on what I've seen on the field watching, I don't have any concerns about whether or not we can beat all these teams, and I really think that we can beat USF. I'm not impressed with them. But can they stay focused and not get ahead of themselves? And with the top 25 talk, et cetera, I think that they easily belong in the top 25, in that bottom rung. But I don't want them to lose focus. And so I'm curious to see how Scott Frost is going to handle this.
I think it's a very good point, and it's not something we necessarily saw from this team last year in the first year under Coach Frost. And he spoke a lot after the Maryland game about last year they wouldn't get over the hump in those kind of games, and they would lose those close games. And I like that Mackenzie Milton quote about putting teams away and really dominating. And And they really did that on all phases of the game in this one. So, no, I think that remains to be seen, and you don't want to stumble on the road at Cincinnati. That South Florida game looms large. I think game at SMU is an interesting game because they put up a lot of points, and it's not a place UCF has necessarily traditionally done well, but it's there for UCF, and what a turnaround even from the 6-6 season, which was a remarkable improvement over 0-12. And you remember Coach Frost saying, "We're not happy with that 6-6 talk."
I can't believe. Yeah, I'm blown away by all of this. I was blown away by last week, and I'm even more blown away now.
Well, and you were blown away by how UCF's defense limited Maryland's rushing attack. Memphis, 24 carries for 75 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it in back-to-back games.
Absolutely, and that defensive line, I'm telling you, those guys are absolutely solid. I said it last week when we were talking. Shaquem Griffin said in the beginning at media day, this is one of the top offensive line or defensive lines in the entire country. I believe it now.
Yeah.
I would be shocked to see any other team with this kind of back-to-back games with the rushing attack completely.
What was their rushing for the other teams? Like, what did they? Because I mean, they put up fairly decent passing yards. I mean, they basically tied us on passing.
I'd have to look.
Like, where are they in rushing stats?
Oh, stats. I don't know those off the. We'd have to see how things shuffle.
We'll have to talk about that on Sunday. But
is the amount that we contain them to? I mean, is that substantial for Memphis, or are they not?
I think they were rushing for a couple hundred yards a game. I mean, I really think that and so was Maryland, definitely.
I mean, I know Maryland was a huge rushing team, and we, so that the volume that we retain them to was substantial, but I just don't know, because I know that they're talking about air raid, and so I didn't know if Memphis was
They had a pretty good
1-2
punch at running back. I'll tell you what, I had some comments directed at me about our insider from Memphis eating a little crow after his conversation with us. There are a couple of sound bites I think we ought to pull out of that conversation with him and replay during the Sunday show. Going to be interesting to talk about the performance with Kyle Israel and Nick Patty expected to join us for this week's Knightline. And, of course, we need calls, 407-401-9184 on the phone here at Burger.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a
good
little
atmosphere if folks want to, enjoy this win tonight. But I'll tell you what was disappointing to me of all the numbers, that crowd wasn't very impressive tonight.
All right, here it is right here. I know who this is. Hey, you're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Andrew. It's Chris from Toronto.
How you doing, man? One of our regular callers.
Doing awesome. The boys are rolling.
Absolutely. What did you think? What was your biggest takeaway from this tonight?
They were just dominant, both sides of the ball. I knew our offense would roll against Mississippi and like 603 yards on offense against Memphis. But the defense, I knew they'd be able to stop the run because, I think you guys were just talking. Our defensive front seven is just dominant. They had 75 yards total rushing.
Yeah,
for the game.
Unbelievable. I mean, around here a few times over the years, it's definitely been the defense has been a big deal. So it is again. I think. I mean, this defense has to be.
Our team is defense.
I can't wait to see later on in the week or whatever, whenever all the stats come out, when all the games are played, where we rank up there in these defensive stats, because it has to be higher.
I would think we would go higher than we were before when we were.
Yeah, we'll be in the top 5 in rushing, I think. And Ferguson tried to pad his numbers at the end of the game, so that's going to hurt our passing. But that game was over in the third quarter.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah, I think this game was over at halftime, honestly. So, yeah, it was a heck of a game, though. So.
I only have, on a day like today, you don't like to pick, but the one bone I do have to pick is the penalties have to be addressed sooner or later, because if we play better teams, it's going to be an issue.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was a bullshit penalty on Shaquem, but the two that Sean Burgess-Becker had, the only other thing is I know we're getting our third team reps in there. But I'm not a fan of Frost taking his foot off the pedal. If he's going to put the third-team guys in there, that's fine. That's good. But have him play at the fast pace. We're up by 30 points.
I'll tell you, I would have liked to have seen Noah Vedral in earlier than we did as well and give him some more reps. And, boy, some of those Mackenzie Milton slides tonight weren't particularly pretty.
No. I like the one. My favorite one was the one where he just sat down.
Yeah, like he curtsied
it was
down
awesome.
or something.
It was
I was
awesome.
like, what is that?
Well,
he needs to learn to slide.
That's a fifth-year senior move there, sitting down to run out the clock.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with that, him sitting down like that. It kept him from sliding and getting. I don't know how many times guys get hurt sliding into someone. Yeah, I mean, it's happened.
I'd also like to say, where are all the Mackenzie Milton haters now from last year that were ripping on an 18-year-old true freshman?
Absolutely.
They're lurking in the message boards waiting for his first bad pass.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. They're out there.
I mean, he's not perfect still. He's definitely not perfect. He threw some high passes tonight, but
that one that got picked. I can't tell if he was trying to throw it away or if was it an overpass.
I think he just threw it.
And he didn't really get asked about it in the post game. I mean, with a victory like this, no one wants to start picking at those things. 19 of 31, the one interception, 253 yards, 3 touchdowns though, and again, he was killer on the ground, 11 carries for 88 yards. So,
absolutely.
I mean, a marked improvement to Chris's point over last year.
All right, man. Chris, thank you very much for calling. We appreciate it.
Hey, we'll have you guys with the show, man. Charge on.
Thank you very much, man.
Nice.
Take it easy.
If there is a bugaboo back-to-back weeks now, penalties, 12 penalties for 109 yards. So, and that hasn't caught up with him yet, but you just wonder in a tight game if there's not a discipline there. But I say that as someone who watched George O'Leary for a number of years and would see us in the tops in the country in penalties, just few penalties. I remember one year I think we averaged 5 a game. So you get used to that level. They're running a lot of plays, 80 plays. So it was back-to-back games with that.
First play, bam, right out the chute.
All right, guys, real quick here. Let's play a commercial and pay some bills here real quick.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline and Knightline Post Game Live. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
All right, we're back at Burger U. How awesome is this to be doing this and to have people calling and to have all kinds of stuff going on. It's very, very cool.
And I'll tell you, not to brag on us, but it was very nice today to run into people who listen to the show and who overheard us.
You have no idea how many people I've run into today.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's really nice to make connections with folks from all over the state and all over the country. In St. Cloud, we talked to the gentleman in the intersection we were walking. He heard us talking, and hey, you're the Knightline guys. It's nice to know that we're connecting with folks, and how many compliments we get that we persevered through 0-12. We get to reap the rewards of this excitement too.
Absolutely, it's awesome. I love it when anybody comes up and says, hey, I really enjoy what you're doing. It blows me away. It does. I still don't believe that anybody listens to this thing, to be honest with you.
You guys, the Black and Banner, and then the guy who does the No Scrubs. I mean, I know he does a bunch of other things, but, he does a thing on UCF. We're not Alabama and Auburn and all them, but any opportunity where personally I can listen to anything about UCF, and UCF football, I soak it up. So me personally, on my way into work or whatever it is, I'll listen to you guys. I love it.
Awesome.
I love hearing about UCF football.
So we're live again next week, right? After the Cincinnati game. It'll be a late night for us. It's an 8 o'clock start at Cincinnati.
Burger U has asked us to do the away games, to do our show from here because we were going to do them at 1148 Studios. Well, now they've asked us to do them here, so I can't really say no if they're giving us an opportunity to do them in a place, and it'll help them out a little bit and all that stuff. I don't have a problem with that. Burger U, by the way, I should say this. I don't know if people have eaten here, but the burgers here are incredible.
The wings. I just had I've never had the wings here.
How's the beer? I see you halfway through yours. Are you okay with the beer, too?
This is a sour beer. Yeah, this thing is on point. The wings
beer
are on
is
point.
awesome. They have tons and tons of beer on tap, all kinds of stuff. The food here is incredible. So please come on down, and remember, when you're on the campus, they're open all the time. So you know, I'm obviously close at night at some point, but they're here most of the time. So look them up on the internet and look at the menu. Their burgers are some of the most incredible burgers that I've ever had. Thank you to Darren, by the way, for letting us do this. He's the manager here at Burger U, and it's all good. Matt, thank you very much, man. All right, so
407-401-9184. By the way, Cincinnati falls to 2-3, 38-21 losers to Marshall.
Wow.
Marshall
Wow.
of Conference USA.
Marshall.
They got a rebuild going on there, but I think to your point, you can't take anybody lightly, and UCF has in years past. There's always been that at least one game where they stubbed their toe on the road. I remember at UConn the one year, and you know.
Oh, that was painful.
But there's an opportunity here with the Cows winning. They were going in at 18, and not, you know, they put up 61 on East Carolina, one of our future opponents as well. And you got to think UCF at 33 last week, based on just total number of votes, that there's a real opportunity. This was an impressive victory today.
They Strong, and what was the guy before Strong that's in Oregon now? The coach.
I can't remember his name, to be honest.
Yeah, the guy. Well, basically, those two guys, they're basically the same kind of guys. Run up the score. Why do you run up the score for? Because it gets you eyeballs to get raised up on the chart. So I'm really hoping that, you know, if we are in a position where we play them, that we run up the score, because they love to do it. And so nothing would make me happier than to see tons of points come showering down on USF.
I asked it on Twitter. Let me throw it out to you guys. More impressive, the victory on the road against Maryland, or this victory, conference play at home?
I'll tell you, when we were in Maryland, that was pretty impressive. But I think that this personally is more impressive, because we were worried about these guys.
Yeah.
We were worried. We thought that this was going to be one of our games that would be, you know, one of the biggest tests. And that wasn't a test.
I like the Maryland. I just because you go on the road and it's the big environment, but nobody wants to give you the credit that's due, because they're like, oh, you were on their third string quarterback. Not that that has anything to do with their defense, you know, but we're on their third string quarterback, and so et cetera, whatever. And so they don't give credit for that. Well, there's nothing you can take away from this.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
We're both playing on the same field in the same weather. We got 4 takeaways. They got 1, and we completely dominated them on both sides of the ball.
Do you think if they had known it might rain, they might have gotten back on the plane before they got to the state?
We were concerned there was some lightning out in the distance that they were going to shut down, you know, and they didn't.
Well,
it was kind of far out there. But
yeah, we were worried about Memphis wanting to not play because
Yeah.
of rain and, you know, thunderstorms and stuff. You know, they didn't want to play during a hurricane, obviously, but
back on the attendance, they were pushing for a sellout. I think the number was 34, but I'm not sure that was the official number.
I doubt.
I heard that was they were talking about it in the press room, but I haven't
Butts
seen it
and
yet.
seats.
And this team deserves more support. They're playing fun football. So for all the fans that got disenfranchised with the George O'Leary conservative style of play, remember, this was the UCF Fast, the UCF Fierce, and they're delivering 80 plays, 603 yards. By the way, another statistic that my friend John messaged me and said UCF's got to control the time of possession. I go, but UCF hasn't been. I mean, these drives are 13 seconds and 2 minutes and 55.
Right.
Final 37-23. 37 minutes, 23 seconds, UCF held the ball.
Wow.
So they
they
did have the ball a
in
lot.
the beginning, they were running the ball pretty slow.
17-play drive.
Yeah.
17-play drive in that first
the whole
drive. What a
thing-
tone setter on that first drive.
I think this team starts slow sometimes. I mean,
I think it was
we were sitting
intentional.
there. I don't know.
That first drive, I honestly believe, because I was like, wait a second, this is not the UC Fast they're
You
talking
think
about.
that they
I
were messing with them?
Yeah, I honestly think that because they were doing predominantly just runs, and then all of a sudden, after those first 2 sets of drives, then it was just pass. And so it was like, I think they were just kind of seeing how they would do it to run, almost like it was setting it up, because it worked. I mean, they passed down the field, but I was really surprised that they were running it quite so much and they didn't toss the ball at all.
It's funny, the impression that UCF's making. I'm looking at Twitter, and our friend C. Austin Cox from the AAC Daily, where we're rotating being guests. we're not slated to be on again for a while, and he sent us a message right now and said, hey, can one of you guys be on Monday's show? So suddenly there's a little bit more interest in UCF football.
That's great. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I think that my bold prediction of 2-touchdown win, I think it was a little bit more than that.
He posted a question on his Twitter feed. Our guests this week, the Memphis guests and the UCF guests, each predicted different things. Who do you think score was more right on? 65-35, people thought Memphis' score would be more, their insider was more accurate than you.
Really?
I think you got the last laugh on that.
I think so, yeah. Oh, so that was a thing before that game actually happened?
Yeah. Who do you think will be more right, the UCF guy or the Memphis guy? 65-35, the Memphis guy.
Really?
You don't know who's voting in that thing, but
I
think that you got a couple of believers today.
They may be a little bit upset with me because I said that I don't think the rest of the AAC is too much competition.
No.
So I think
it's easy coasting. And SMU, I'm not 100% certain on, and USF is always a challenge.
SMU 49-28 winners at home over UConn. Navy's still dangerous. We hadn't talked about Navy.
That's right.
The style of play that they is different, and they won on the road at Tulsa 31-21. Houston 2013 over Temple. So, one at a time, and Cincinnati next, and you can't take anybody lightly, but I like the opportunity to be 4-0 in another week.
Absolutely. What an incredible performance tonight.
We do Ask Knightline, and we'll post that throughout the day tomorrow. But when we do Ask Knightline, I'm interested in people's questions for Kyle Israel and Nick Patty.
Yes.
What do you want to know? Not just about the quarterback play, but just the way this offense has been high-flying. And we're talking about Adrian Killens, but Otis Anderson had some nice runs as well.
Unbelievable,
There was some speed there when he had the ball. And back on defense, is there a greater play than that Nate Evans hit and then the interception by Savon Lowry? I mean, we talk about Mike Hughes and Kyle Gibson with interceptions, but that was pretty nice as well. That was a lick that Nate Evans threw. Yeah,
there was definitely some names tonight that we haven't heard.
It's every week you say that, that there are different names that come to the surface.
Savon Lowry's been here for a while, but we don't hear him making interceptions very often, I can tell you that. So, yeah. There's always somebody. And, again, what about Mike Hughes? I mean, this guy is
back-to-back weeks with an INT.
An incredible player, absolutely incredible player. We were very, very lucky.
Yes.
And people kept saying that. And I told, people on the show, on the Sunday show about, what people had said about this guy.
He's sophomore, right? Sophomore?
I believe so, because I think he was
came
at
from
North Carolina. And that was his freshman year, and I don't know what happened. He got kicked off the team or something like that, and whatever. I don't care. I don't care how we got him. We got him, and I'm glad that we have him because he's a heck of a football player.
Something that I remember seeing on the message boards, and I'm curious to see what comes of that. But did you see there were like 20-plus recruits? Potential
you
recruits
put on a
here.
good show for the recruits tonight. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. There was a bunch of them. I can tell you that.
In that list, there were like 3 or 4 stars that were visiting. So
and Scott Frost has been telegraphing that he said 3 to 4 years. I wonder, and it's a good question for him maybe next week, or are they ahead of that schedule?
Well,
in his mind of where this team
they would have to.
I've had multiple people come up to me today and say, do you think Scott Frost is going to stay around after this? And do you think Schneider is going to stay around either? I mean,
I'm not necessarily concerned about Frost. I think that we at least have another year for him. But Schneider, he's the one that I'm concerned that somebody's going to pick him up for a head coaching job.
Absolutely.
Because of what he's doing on defense. Scott will probably stick around because he's kind of want to maybe pad his resume a little bit for one more year. But Schneider, it's, you want to step out. I mean, come on. Defensive
but this is a close coaching staff, and they enjoy being around one another, and they have some younger kids, and they talk about that family time and
maybe
things like that.
Cash is king.
I know
cash is king.
Well, and UCF is probably not going to win those kind of battles, but if you're in a position where you've got a top 25 team and a top 25 program, I mentioned it to you, and you didn't like me mentioning it, but I think the bigger concern is who picks off Danny White, and why wouldn't Nebraska be a candidate for that?
Oh yeah, because they need an AD.
Or how about a Louisville? They may need an athletic director. And Danny White is, at his age and his pedigree and success, he's not going to take a bad Power 5 job. He's going to take something where he can go in and succeed. So, I want to start ripping on teams, but, he's not going to go to the Kansases of the world. And, maybe a Louisville is a place he can go, or a Nebraska, and take it back to its prominence.
Even think about him.
And then, and now he didn't steal any coaches from Buffalo, but with the success he's had with a Johnny Dawkins and a Scott Frost, and, maybe he does pluck this tree a little bit. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Since he showed up, this school is on every single sport, collegiate sport, we've excelled. Every single one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
407-401-9184. Got it.
That is the phone number, yeah.
I've been active on Twitter tonight, by the way.
You have. Man,
I'm a Twitter fool.
It's great. I love it. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I love the interaction.
The autocorrect, it said Adrian Mullins. I don't know how to fix that,
That's
so I went in and said that was autocorrect.
That's funny. Yeah, it's all good. But I love the interaction on all the forums with everybody. It's
I ripped
awesome.
on our buddy Isaac Simpson from the Man Cave podcast a little bit.
Yeah.
I said something like, I like that Adrian Killens
yeah.
now.
I laughed, did the old LOL back to him a couple times tonight. So, all right. Well, I think that we've done this pretty well tonight. It's getting late. They're trying to get people out of here.
And I have to take my uncle to the airport for a 6 a.m. flight,
yeah,
so I'm good about getting home.
Thank you for everybody that has called in. Thank you, Stefan,
thank you for letting me join.
Chilling with us. I like this, and I like having people that are in the crowd here step in and just talk with us. Matt Ayala tonight, Stefan. It's awesome. I love it.
I'm going to be cruising through. You'll see me just because I live in Oviedo, and so we take an Uber here. And so, I'm not walking him a mile up the road.
Yeah,
a 7-year-old. So
yeah, he's pointing to his little guy, and it's
who may be a little
awesome.
sleepy right now.
Yeah, he looks like a drunk guy sitting there, had one too many drinks on the table.
All right, well, if it's all right with you guys, I think
we're a little early, but that's fine.
I think we got a few minutes.
We got
left
a lot of show to talk about tomorrow.
We do. We have a lot to talk about. So tune in tomorrow. It'll be out late Sunday night, early Monday morning. I know everybody looks for it, especially that's listening. I greatly appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it. It's been absolutely awesome.
I think one of the things you said to me this week is we had more people listen last week than we typically do in a full month. So people are jumping on this bandwagon.
It's amazing what happens when you're good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Us or the team or
team.
Both. How about that? Both.
When the team wins, people listen, obviously. All right, well, this has been Post Game Live. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. Go Knights.
Charge on. Thanks for listening, everybody.
UCF, charge on to the field with